Since the earliest ages of the world, sailors knew one truth. There existed a power that no king, no army, and no hero could ever defy. A power capable of turning a calm sea into a living hell. When the sky darkened, when the waves rose like mountains and lightning tore across the horizon, the Greeks never spoke of ordinary weather. They whispered a single name: Poseidon. Ruler of the oceans, master of storms, the one who could make the earth itself tremble. But behind this image of the sea god hides a far more complicated deity, a god who was unpredictable, sometimes generous, often merciless, capable of granting prosperity or condemning entire kingdoms. In this new Chronicle of Shadows, we explore the origins of Poseidon. We uncover the myths that shaped his legend. We discover why the Greeks feared him as much as they worshipped him, and we see how thousands of years later, his legacy still haunts our imagination.
When people picture Poseidon, the first image that comes to mind is a towering bearded god gripping a massive trident. And yet, reducing Poseidon to nothing more than god of the ocean would be a mistake. His authority reached far beyond the shoreline. He ruled over every water there was: the seas, the oceans, the gulfs, the straits, the sacred rivers, the deep springs, the lost islands scattered across the waves. But his power didn't stop there. The Greeks also credited him with command over the storms, the violent winds, the tidal waves, the invisible currents, the whirlpools that could swallow an entire fleet. Every voyage at sea depended on his mood. A single gesture of his hand could grant safe passage or doom hundreds of men. The ancients said that when Poseidon struck the surface of the ocean with his trident, the waves rose like mountains. Ships vanished beneath the water, and sailors understood in that instant that they had offended the god. But another power belonged to him as well, an even more terrifying one: the power to shake the earth itself. The Greeks gave him a fitting title for it: the Earth Shaker.
To their eyes, earthquakes were never natural events. They were the direct expression of Poseidon's fury when a city collapsed, when a mountain crumbled, or when the ground suddenly split open. People believed the god had struck. His trident didn't only unleash the oceans, it could make the entire human world shudder. Strangely enough, Poseidon was also the protector of horses. Several ancient traditions credit him with creating the very first horse, an animal that symbolized power, nobility, and speed. Countless sanctuaries honored him for chariot races as much as for military victories, because a swift horse could decide the outcome of a war. And behind every triumph, some saw the blessing of the god. His symbols were instantly recognizable. The most famous, of course, was his enormous trident, a divine weapon forged to command the seas. But several creatures were sacred to him too: the horse, the bull, the dolphin, and sometimes even monstrous creatures of the deep. Each one reflected a different side of his immense power. To the Greeks, Poseidon was never simply the god of the sea. He embodied a primal force, an untamable power, impossible to control, a god as magnificent as he was terrifying. And yet, before he became one of the three rulers of the universe, Poseidon lived through a tragic beginning. Because from the moment he was born, he fell victim to his own father's madness. Long before the gods of Olympus ruled the world, another generation held dominion over everything: the Titans, colossal beings, older than mankind, older than the Olympian gods themselves. At their head stood a ruler feared by all: Cronus. After overthrowing his own father, Uranus, Cronus became the absolute master of the cosmos. But his victory never brought him peace.
because a terrible prophecy soon began to poison his existence. The ancient powers had foretold that one day one of his own children would dethrone him, exactly as he had dethroned his own father. The thought became an obsession. Cronus trusted no one, least of all his own children.
Every time his wife, the Titaness Rhea, gave birth to a child, Cronus committed an act of unimaginable cruelty. Without a moment's hesitation, he swallowed the newborn, alive, one after another. That is how Hestia disappeared, then Demeter, then Hera, then Hades, then Poseidon. The future master of the oceans never saw the light of the world. The instant he was born, he was swallowed into the darkness of his father's body. For the Greeks, this was never just a fantastical tale. It was a symbol of absolute fear of power, the fear that a king would sacrifice anything, even his own family, to hold on to his throne. For long years, Poseidon remained a prisoner, unable to see the sky, unable to discover the vastness of the seas he would one day rule. His fate seemed already sealed.
But Rhea refused to lose another child. When the time came to give birth to her youngest son, she devised a plan. With the help of Gaia, the earth herself, she slipped away in secret to the island of Crete. There, hidden from Cronus' sight, she gave birth to Zeus. Then she wrapped a heavy stone in swaddling cloth. When Cronus demanded his child, Rhea handed him the stone. Blinded by his own fear, the Titan swallowed it without a second thought. Meanwhile, Zeus grew up in complete secrecy. Some traditions say the Curetes, sacred warriors, clashed their shields against their spears to drown out the infant's cries. Others say he was nursed by the divine goat Amalthea. Whatever the version, they all agree on one thing: Zeus survived, and with him, hope was reborn. The years passed. Zeus grew into a powerful god, but he had never forgotten his brothers and sisters. He knew they were still trapped inside Cronus, so the day came when he decided to act. Through a clever trick, he forced his father to drink a magic potion. Almost instantly, Cronus was seized by violent convulsions, and then he vomited up everything he had swallowed: the stone, then Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, and finally, Poseidon. After years trapped inside the Titan, the future god of the sea was free at last. For the very first time, he saw the sky, the mountains, the light. But above all, he found the brothers and sisters with whom he would change the fate of the world. The liberation of Cronus' children marked a colossal conflict, a war the Greeks called the Titanomachy. For 10 long years, the Titans clashed with the young Olympian gods. The sky, the earth, even the mountains themselves shook under the violence of the fighting. But Zeus quickly realized he needed more allies. He descended into the depths of Tartarus, where the Cyclopes and the Hecatoncheires had been imprisoned for centuries, monstrous beings locked away for generations. In exchange for their freedom, these creatures agreed to fight alongside the future gods of Olympus. The Cyclopes forged extraordinary weapons. To Zeus, they gave the thunderbolt. To Hades, they gave the helm of invisibility. And to Poseidon, they forged a weapon that would become one of the most iconic symbols in all of Greek mythology: the trident, forged in the divine depths, able to command the oceans, able to summon storms, able to make springs burst from the ground, and able to make the earth itself tremble. Armed with this power, Poseidon entered the battle. Ancient accounts say mountains collapsed, seas rose, and the world itself seemed to return to primordial chaos. In the end, the Olympians won. The Titans were defeated and sealed away forever in the depths of Tartarus. After their victory, one question remained: who would rule the world? To avoid any new war among themselves, the three brothers agreed to let fate decide. They drew lots. Zeus received the sky. Hades received the underworld, and Poseidon became ruler of every sea and every water on earth. The earth itself remained shared ground. None of the three brothers claimed it alone. From that moment on, the oceans became Poseidon's eternal kingdom. From his vast crystal palace, hidden in the depths of the sea, the god would now reign over an empire as fascinating as it was fearsome. To the Greeks, the ocean was never just a stretch of water. It marked the border between the known world and the unknown. Beyond the horizon, the maps ran out, the monsters began, and the gods took over. At the heart of this mysterious realm stood Poseidon's palace. Ancient poets described a dwelling of unearthly beauty, a vast palace built at the bottom of the sea. Its columns were made of coral. Its walls seemed carved from crystal and shell. Enormous pearls lit the halls with a soft, otherworldly glow. All around, schools of colorful fish swam freely. Dolphins escorted divine visitors, and strange sea creatures stood guard. Unlike Zeus's radiant palace above, Poseidon's home was wrapped in an almost unsettling calm, a silence broken only by the distant rumble of ocean currents. It was from this throne beneath the waves that the god watched the world. Every ship, every storm, every sailor bold enough to defy his kingdom. Nothing escaped him.
Among all the legends surrounding Poseidon, one stands apart. It tells of neither a bloody battle nor a cataclysm, and yet it would change the fate of an entire civilization. Two of the mightiest gods of Olympus faced off, not with weapons, but with gifts. On one side, Poseidon, master of the oceans, capable of raising the seas and shaking the earth. On the other, Athena, goddess of wisdom, strategy, and craftsmanship. Their prize was not a kingdom, but the right to protect a city destined for immortality, Cecropia. In those days, the Greeks believed no city could thrive without a guardian deity. King Cecrops had to choose which god would watch over his people. To prevent a war from breaking out among the Olympians, a contest was arranged. Each god would offer the people a gift. Whoever gave the most valuable gift would become the city's protector. Poseidon stepped forward first. The sky darkened, the wind rose, and the god struck the earth with his massive trident. With a deafening crack, the ground split open. Some traditions say a spring of salt water burst from the depths. Others say he brought forth the very first horse, a symbol of speed, power, and war. Whichever version is true, his gift represented strength, dominance, and royal grandeur. Poseidon was certain no one could rival such a display of power. Then Athena stepped forward in near total silence. No thunder, no violence. She simply planted her spear into the ground. Slowly, a young shoot appeared, grew, and became the very first olive tree. Its fruit would feed the people. Its oil would light their homes. Its wood would help build their city. Where Poseidon offered power, Athena offered prosperity, peace, and a lasting future. The people weighed the two gifts. One inspired fear, the other promised stability. When King Cecrops announced his verdict, he chose Athena. In her honor, Cecropia took a new name, Athens. That choice would go down in history, but it would also ignite the fury of a god. Humiliated, Poseidon never forgave the defeat. The ancients say he struck the earth once more, raising the waves and unleashing the winds against the coast. Some even claimed he condemned the region to a lack of fresh water. Whatever the version, they all point to the same truth. The master of the oceans never forgets an insult. This story reveals the true nature of Poseidon, capable of protecting those who honored him, but just as capable of destroying those who defied him. The Greeks saw in him a reflection of the sea itself, majestic, unpredictable, and at times merciless.
But this rivalry with Athena was only the beginning. Soon, a famous hero would provoke the sea god's wrath through nothing more than his own pride. His name would echo through the centuries. He was called Odysseus. Thousands of years have passed. Poseidon's temples have crumbled into ruin. The sacrifices have ended. The prayers of sailors have long since fallen silent. And yet the god of the oceans has never left our imagination. Why? Because he embodies a force humanity still respects today: the sea. A source of life, of trade, of exploration, yet still capable of unleashing storms, tsunamis, and undersea earthquakes. The Greeks saw the will of Poseidon in all of it. Science now explains the causes, but standing before the vastness of the ocean, that same sense of humility remains. This power is what has carried the sea god across the centuries. On screen, he appears as Odysseus's fearsome adversary. In modern novels, most famously Percy Jackson, he becomes a powerful and protective father. In video games, he's reimagined as a deity commanding the oceans, the storms, and the creatures of the deep. His trident has become one of the most recognizable symbols in all of mythology. But the ancient stories remind us that Poseidon was never simply a hero, nor simply a tyrant. Proud, impulsive, and at times merciless, he could also be generous to those who earned his favor. He was the god of the seas, of horses, and of earthquakes, the rival of Athena, the enemy of Odysseus, one of the three rulers of the universe after the fall of the Titans.